Hello everyone, this is Atul Vijay Kumar from Amrita IAS Academy. Welcome back to our Prelims Master Program, where I'll be discussing different ways and techniques to solve MCQs. So today we'll be going ahead with some of the economic questions that was asked in previous UPSC exams. So this is about a balance of payment. So first statement, or let's consider the following statements. First of all, most of India's external debt is owed by government entities. Secondly, all of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. So you have to identify the statements that are correct in this context. So let us take each statement and analyze it in detail. So again, your tendency would be that, okay, I don't know the details about how much percentage of external debt is owed by government, how much is owed by private sector, how much is owed by corporate. Okay, so obviously that is a doubt all of us have, and I can assure you that even I don't know that. Maybe we would have studied it, but these numbers are difficult to keep track of. But that doesn't mean that you don't solve this question, right? Because if you leave questions like that, there are very high chances that you would fail in the exam. You wouldn't have enough number of questions to attempt. So let us face it, okay? So first of all, most of India's external debt is owed by government entities. That means India has so much foreign debt, right? That is the idea, okay? So do you think if there is something like that, India has so much of foreign debt owed by government, do you think that is something that will make news in a really bad way, as in a kind of a crisis situation? Or maybe why don't you think that when was the last time we heard something like this? We have a huge sovereign debt issue internationally. That was the time way back in 1991, right? Do you remember? So we didn't have money to pay for our oil imports for even for a week. That is when we opened up. So when you hear news of that weightage, that there is so much of sovereign debt, international debt held by Indian nation, that is going to be a big crisis, okay? But we don't know of any such crisis of late, right? So that is something you can think about that, right? And moreover, if another information what you can think about is India is a very growing economy, right? We are a fast growing economy, and we know that there would be so much of investment that is going to come from abroad, from outside our land. It is going to come both as debt and equity. With FDI, there is so much equity is also going to come as investment here, but there is so much of debt options also. You would have seen RBI and governments easing up the external commercial borrowings criteria, conditions, how much you can borrow, who can borrow, all these things are getting relaxed over the time. So these are all part of our liberalization, globalization processes, reforms happening in this country, right? So any serious aspirant would know all this. So I think you can make a safe guess that it's not the government that is taking the highest percentage of debt in an international scene at this point. It is a corporate, it is a private sector, right? Because they need money to fund their businesses, push their businesses, maybe to push their infrastructure projects in this country. So it is a private sector that is playing all the crucial economic growth that is happening. It is a private sector that is fueling the Indian growth engine. So the debt also has to be borne by the private sector, right? So I think if you think in these lines, you can safely conclude that most of India's external debt won't be owed by government entities but by private sector. And once you concluded that, then also even at that point you might not know the percentage, but you can still make a reasonable conclusion like that given the information we have. Second thing is, all of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. So that is again something you would have studied, I guess, or maybe you can try to recall, have you heard about rupee denominated debt, or maybe have you heard about we paying back our price of the petroleum we import in our own currency? Have you heard about all those things? Because earlier there was a pact with Iran. The only reason that we were buying oil from Iran amid all the international sanction was that Iran allows us to pay back in Indian currency. So that is also a debt, right? We are that debt is not denominated in US dollars. So So why don't you think there could be possibilities, maybe at least among the neighbors, right? India and other neighboring countries, or Nepal or China, or maybe Pakistan. Why should we use dollars for a transaction among these countries? We don't have to, right? So it's not necessary that all of India's external debt is denominated in US dollars. There could be Indian rupee denomination, there could be the currency of that country, and there could be euro, there could be Chinese renminbi. So all of this could be part. So it's a convenience. It's a convenience that the countries would agree to depending on which is beneficial for them, right? So I think that is also going to be a false thing. So here, since the question is to identify the correct statements, and we have kind of reasonably concluded that both are incorrect statements, so we go for option D, neither one nor two. Okay.